Hello. I am so glad you guys are here. I've really been enjoying this kind of venue real talk. It's definitely been really fun kind of going down memory lane a little bit in the beginning stages of the Bradford. Even though there are some things I don't necessarily want to remember, it's still been a really fun exercise. So today we're going to talk a little bit about like how we decided to build a team and kind of what that process looked like. And just like everything else in venue ownership, there was lots of highs, lots of lows, and things that we did really well, things that we totally and completely fucked up, but eventually landed on where we are today. So when we first opened up the Bradford, the original plan was that we were going to say goodbye to C&D Events. Like C&D Events was gonna like kind of go to the wayside. We were gonna put all our energy and effort into the venue. But there was something really hard about saying goodbye to C&D Events. One, I loved planning. I loved my clients. I loved what I did. And I was very attached to that business. I had poured everything into it and it was my baby. And so I really had a hard time saying goodbye to it. And I told Courtney, I was like, I really think we should rethink this. Like, I don't necessarily want to let C&D go. And at this point, it was actually super profitable. It was the reason why we could build the Bradford. It funded a lot of it. So I was like, I feel like this is like throwing away a perfectly good business. Like it isn't time yet. And so we readjusted, we pivoted, and we realized that there's no way that we could execute these events as planners, run a venue, and also be the one selling the venue, doing the events, and making sure everything runs perfectly. And it was the first time I really truly felt like and understood that saying that you can't grow your business if you are in your business. And we realized we needed to hire people. And I was very nervous about it. One, I was super anxious about somebody taking this thing that cost me a freaking shit ton of money, and are they going to mess it up? Are they going to be able to sell it like I can sell it? Are they going to love it like I love it? Are they going to take care of it? Like all the thoughts that you have in your head. And really the reason why I thought it was because this was probably like a couple years before. I was really struggling with a couple of our part-time employees on the planning side. We had like contract workers, and I just felt like they weren't necessarily fully invested. And I was like, lamenting this to my husband, and he sent me this video, and it's of this guy who invented a razor for bald men. And it's like, it had like a curved edge, it had like a curved blade to it so that that you could use your hand to actually shave your head. And he goes on to say that he created this prototype and then created a bunch of razors and then hired people to go out and basically sell them on the street. And they would come back and report for the day, and he found that he wasn't getting the sales that he wanted. So he's like, well, maybe there just isn't a market for it. So he goes out and he sells 10 times what everybody else is selling. And he goes on to say that nobody can sell your business like you can sell your business. And I believe this to every core of my being. I believe that was true, that I was the best person to sell my business. And I was affirmed that by over and over again by every book I read. And, when I went to a conference, that's what they said, that no one can sell your business like you can sell your business. So I was anxious. I was like, there's no way that this person's going to be able to sell this the way that we need to sell it and do as good of a job as that I'm going to do. Spoiler alert, I was really wrong. This person did 1,000 times better than I ever could do. And a lot of it was just because she could focus on just this one thing. She wasn't pulled in 1,000 directions. She wasn't thinking about maintenance and toilet paper and taxes and all the mortgage, all this stuff. She was just thinking about selling, right? And she was incentivized by her paycheck, by her commissions, and that's what she did. And she did it super well. And so that was really created this big vote of confidence for us. Like, hey, we know how to find great people. We can hire an amazing team. This is the jam. I was like, this is the best thing we have ever done in our entire life. And we kind of went on a hiring spree because I was like, this is amazing. I can offload this and I can offload this and I can offload this. And I'm like, my brain is all of a sudden totally clear. And we really started building out that team. And it worked for a while. And we've seen a lot of different iterations of that team since then. We've seen a full-time staff. We've seen some part-time staff. We're in a very different iteration now, just based on the market and based on the clients and the expectations. And I think that what is so hard as being a venue owner is that I feel like once you find it, right? You're like, okay, this is the missing puzzle piece. I found this person. We all have our job descriptions. We all have the SOPs. We have all the pieces that are in place. And you go and you're like, you have 6 months of bliss. And you're like, this is amazing. I have a killer team. Everything is kick-ass. Everyone's happy and everything's great. And at the end of that 6 months, it changes. And It could be a person that has changed. It could be a job role that needs to change. It could be that the market has completely changed. The expectation has changed. You have changed. All of it, something has changed. And then it kind of puts everything up into this like chaos again, right? And you have to reevaluate it. And I think that's what I wasn't prepared for. I really thought that once you kind of figure out the little pieces, that it could almost be a set it and forget it. Like, okay, I have this great team. I have a team that's invested. We have great company culture, all that stuff, and it'll be fine. And really what I have learned over the past 5 years, I would say, since having this, like having a big team, is that you have to work at it every single day. And if you as a manager or an owner, if you are also stuck in the weeds of having to sell it, to do the marketing, to have to execute the events, it's really hard to work on the simple things like having great company culture and making sure, you know, everything is running smoothly from the top down. And that was like the biggest piece of like surprise that I was not ready for, and I was actually very much offended by it. Like it's like I worked so hard to create this and now it's not working. But what it's done is it's really given me such a passion for other venues and understanding that like I hear you, I see you, like we were all struggling with that same thing. And I can't tell you how many people I talked to and they're like, everything was fine, and then like April hits and then it's crazy and everything was great and then this happens. And so it's why I really believe in continuing education. Like even though I have had this venue for 10 years, and even though I can confidently say like, okay, I could go open a venue and be successful, I still constantly seek out education because everything changes. The client changes, the market changes, the people we employ like changes, like the different generations change. And I want to make sure that I understand all those pieces, because me understanding the full picture is allowing me to be a better manager, a better boss, and eventually a better venue owner. So that was the other heart behind this conference. Is I've been to 1,000 conferences. Well, not 1,000. I've been to a lot of conferences. I go to a lot every single year, and they have great education, but there isn't really that really focuses on venue specific things. And what I needed, what I crave, and what I want every year is for someone who is an expert at marketing venues, an expert at hiring teammates for their venue, an expert at talking about how to be a great manager of venues. I wanted that education, because that education is what's going to allow those dips to just be little tiny like potholes and not huge massive dips on the roller coaster. So I hope that helps understand a little bit more about like why the content is so important for the masterclass, and kind of what I am hoping and what I know, and not I'm hoping, that I know that you'll get out of it. I'll be back tomorrow to talk more about our venue journey. It's going to be a good one, so stay tuned.